joining this class. As you might have noticed, we are going to cover some basics of how to actually keep targets locked on gates, because you probably joined a couple of fleets before. You realize that people will play what we call gate games to somehow escape us. They'll jump back and forth and get different people aggressed on different sides. And basically what they're doing is they're giving us chances to make mistakes. And eventually when they realize that we made a mistake, they get a chance to, get off the gate, even though we're trying to prevent exactly that. And this fleet is basically just a fleet where we will be covering ways to prevent making mistakes, because like in most games, people get into good situations because of their enemies' mistakes and not the other way around. What we'll be covering is a little bit of theoretical setup, things that will help you in these situations. Like most of this usually happens on gates, but it can also be helpful for other situations. So first thing, make sure you're in a ship, make sure your pod is empty always, because usually my fleets will go into low sec, there's a chance you'll die, a chance you'll lose your pod, so please don't be in your learning implant for this fleet. I suppose all of you have joined MQP, so you know how to check clones and stuff, so I'll just skip on that. If you're in a ship and ready to go, just undock for now. Undock and stop your ship, control spacebar. Accidentally locked the station and almost died, yikes. Okay, let's not do that again. Okay, so first couple of things we'll do is set up to be prepared properly for tackling someone on a gate. Very first thing I do recommend is a layout that's actually part of the EVE, let's call it EVE user interface. If you go to the bottom left of your HP bar, where you have like on the top, it's like holds and base, the tactical overlay, orbit camera, tactical camera. If you look to the left, all these icons to the left of your HP bars, like bottom left of your safety, basically. There's a couple of icons, like above the autopilot icon, basically. And the one I want you to activate for this fleet is the tactical overlay, which is also activated by pressing Control and D together. And you'll see that a lot of lines disappear, basically a lot of indicators. And what the tactical overlay does, it gives you an idea of how far people are away from you, which in my opinion is great. It also displays the range of your guns, the maximum range of your guns. If you're, for example, using missiles, it should be a red line around you, so you kind of know until where your guns reach. And this is like such a big thing for like flying your ship properly, knowing how far people are away, how far they're above or below you. Another thing this does, if you now, for example, start moving your ship, like just accelerate your ship, like pressing the little plus below your HP bar, you'll see that there's actually an arrow now that shows your movement and the direction of your movement, and this will be really, really important later on. So having this arrow and knowing where your ship is moving is really helpful. Now, if you, for example, don't target him, just click on him, left click on Dan, you'll see that he also now has two arrows after left clicking on him. One of them is his current movement, so you can see where he's moving, and the other one is your movement relative to him, basically, which gives you an idea like how good your transversal is, and it also gives you an idea if you're actually approaching someone or if you're flying away from someone. So with this, for example, you now know that Dan is moving in a certain direction, and if you wanted to intercept him, you would basically aim in front of him to get the closest path to him, because if you right-click approach someone, it will literally try to reach the butt of the ship instead of looking for the fastest way to intercept him. So this will give you an idea of how to best intercept someone's current course, let's call it that. Alright, is anybody having issues with that, or do you see all these arrows that I'm talking about? For now, just stop your ships, guys, control spacebar, we don't want to drift out of range. But this is super important, like not only for this gate stuff, but also for other scenarios, knowing where people are going to intercept them properly, because approaching always will lose you a lot of time. If people move, if you're moving in a certain direction and people are coming from the left to the right, moving at like a 90-degree angle away from your movement, turning your ship by 45 degrees in the direction that they're going will make tackling things insanely much easier. Like even if you're slower than the target, by doing that you have a chance to tackle them. If you approach them, you're basically just trying to catch their back end, which will never be optimal. Yeah, but the thing is, people don't know about tactical overlay if they're new, and it's super, super important. Another thing that is not only important for gate camping, but everything is use double click to navigate. If you double click anywhere in space, your ship will automatically start moving in that direction. So that also works if you click on someone in space. You can click on Locust twice and your ship will automatically start approaching him. The same goes in your overview. If you double click on something there, your ship will automatically start moving to that person, which will also be really important later on. So always, in my opinion, never use right click approach to get to someone. If you really want to approach someone, you just double click them. Or if you want to intercept them, you double click ahead of them in space. So you turn your camera with your mouse, you hold left click, you turn your camera, you see where they're going, and you click ahead of them in space, double click. And you can do that continuously. Like if they're adjusting their route, you turn your camera and just permanently click to adjust your course to make sure you intercept them. This is super, super important. All right, that's the little bit navigation part. Another thing is we do recommend having a ZS overview for most of our fleets. If you use your own personal overview, that's completely fine. But for this exercise, you should have a combat or PvP tab. And in my opinion, it's most beneficial if that tab is completely empty. By default, ZS suggests...
one more time.
Your overview should have a combat or PvP tab, which by default right now should be completely empty. The only thing your PvP or combat tab, in my opinion, should show are ships that you are trying to shoot. And since right now the only thing on grid are Mars Surveillance Sergeant Majors, fleet mates, and a station, where neither of those you can shoot, they shouldn't be on your overview. That is my personal opinion, but it also really helps with the locking someone down at a gate. So in my opinion, I would completely declutter that entire PvP tab. Like if there's stations on there, right click on them and then find the option remove station, moon, whatever it is from overview. If you have fleet mates on your PvP tab, that is really not good. You should remove that. The easiest way to do that is going to the top left corner of the overview window, going to clicking on that on the 4 stacked lines in the top left corner of the overview. A little drop down will open, and then go to open overview settings, tab presets, the second tab, then a new selection opens. You go to the right one, which is states, and then if you scroll down, there's a purple option, pilot is in your fleet, and that one should be on the middle little checkbox, because the middle one filters out by default, which means anyone that is in your fleet is filtered out from your combat tab.
And for those people that don't this is quite a long process. This is the thing that I'm going to go over on Friday before Wedge. For those that join me, there's a lesson on Friday about making that targets tab that ZS gives you kind of populated with things that are useful.
Yeah, in my opinion, nothing should be on there. Yeah, okay, anyways, that's part of this. Second tab you need is a travel tab. The travel tab, in my opinion, again, the only two things that should be shown on the travel tab is gates, because gates are used for traveling, and the second one is the sun for emergency warpods and the likes. So in my opinion, the only thing on your travel tab should be gates or the sun. One more thing concerning the overview, please for this exercise have the overview ordered by distance. If you have the furthest thing on the top or the furthest thing on the bottom, doesn't matter, but the things should be ordered by distance, because this gives you a certain speed advantage once you take a gate. It should be done with the PvP and the travel tab. You just click on the distance bracket on the top, and you see that once you click it, it will order from furthest to closest or closest to furthest. And that should be done for both tabs, PvP and travel. Reason being is the first thing after you take a gate will always be reapproaching the gate. So having the travel tab ordered by distance and knowing, aha, the gate that just came through will always be on the very top or the very bottom of my overview, saves you those 2 seconds where you're scrambling to find the gate that you're trying to reapproach, or having to turn your camera and reapproaching the gate. Alright, so if you have the tactical camera set up and the overview set up to a certain extent, the only other thing that is left are hotkeys. As you probably know, you have these little icons on the bottom right of your screen that are your active modules. There should be a warp scrambler or warp disruptor, a micro warp drive, and your guns. This is not mandatory, but this is something I really recommend. I would have my micro warp drive on F1 and my warp disruptor or warp scrambler on F2. That is the same for myself, at least for every ship, because the first step to getting someone locked up is being close to them, which is a micro warp drive, and the second one to locking someone up is using the module that you use to lock someone up, which is your warp disruptor or warp scrambler. So these should always have max priority. And after those two things are handled, you can always still worry about your guns, which should be then F3 or whatever, or your newts, F4, stuff like that. But warp scrambler and micro warp drive are the most important parts of PvP, so they're in the front, at least for me, and it helps protecting things. All right. So far, so good. Let's do a quick core tour to Losec. We'll probably go. Let's see. ESA. ESA looks unpopulated. We'll go to this system. So for now, just start free burning towards ESA. And we'll regroup on the in-gate in ESA. While we're traveling, usually there's two scenarios that you're gonna actually, yeah, let's say two scenarios. No, let's do that later once we're on the gate. Otherwise, it's too much hypothetical thinking. By the way, if you do have any questions already, feel free to ask. Right, one thing I'm gonna mention right now is usually your FC will give you kind of an idea what you have to do, but to a certain extent, knowing yourself what the optimal scenario here would be is really helpful. It will again save time, and that's the most important thing on the scale scenarios, is being on top of your time management, honestly. So one of the calls, for example, you could hear is one person push him through. Pushing through usually means that one person on the side that we are currently on, so like we're jumping into a new system, that if we are with the target on this side of the gate, then the FC wants the fastest person basically to lock them up and scram them so they don't have any chance to warp away from the gate. Because naturally, if you land in a gate, you have two choices, more or less. One of them is taking the gate, and one of them is realigning out and just warping somewhere else, which is actually a thing that happens to us a lot, or actually to fleets a lot, where people just expect other people to jump, but naturally they can just turn around on the on this side of the gate and just peace out, because they know that if they go through the gate, they're most likely dead. Oh, look at the worm just farming away. We'll ignore that worm. I think it's RSM anyways. No, it's not. It doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. Not important. All right. Okay, so now we just jump through a gate. Usually, if we're jumping through a gate and we're trying to catch someone, the first thing you want to do is reapproach the gate. Easiest way, again, to reapproach the gate is going to your travel overview, or even better, having your travel overview open while you jump the gate. And then you just can hammer left click on where your gate will appear, the in-gate. If that is on the top or the bottom, depends on your preference. And immediately turning your micro warp drive on. You can just spam F1 to do that, which really accelerates the process. And then while you do that, so you hammer left click in the overview to approach, you spam F1, and while you accelerate towards the gate, you switch back to your PvP overview. And that's important because the second the person decloaks, you want to be able to lock them up and burn towards them. So now you reach the gate, you make sure that your micro warp drive turns off. So you cycle it once to get close to the gate, and then you stop it. And at this point, you can preheat your micro warp drive. Like, overheating works while the module is already cycling, but you can also preheat modules. So on the next activation, they will automatically heat. So what you do is you press Shift and F1, or wherever your micro warp drive is, and you'll see that the little green bar above your micro warp drive is now a flashier green, which means that it's ready to overheat. Reason being for that is on the first cycle, you want to be as fast as possible to get to the person. And you do the same for your web or your scram. If they're on F2 and F3, just Shift F1 for micro warp drive, Shift F2 for scram or disruptor, Shift F3 for your web. Reason being is the micro warp drive makes you even faster than it usually does. It also accelerates a lot faster, and in these gate scenarios, acceleration is key. The web and the scram, by heating, you give them more range, which obviously is also very beneficial if you want to lock someone up as fast as possible. And then once the person decloaks, which we'll practice in a second, I will just warp off to something. Just stay on the gate for a second. Chappers, for this I will give you the fleet, and I will leave fleet myself so you can actually... but I'll be blue. I didn't consider that. Oh well, you're gonna have to deal with it. Should have run out of Corporal. I didn't think of that.
What are CEOs like gonna get an email that we were AWOXing?
Yep, I'll blame you all. Okay, Chappers, you have the fleet. I'll just leave for now. You'll have to... Yeah. How do we do this? You're not going to see me on your overview, which is really sad. It's half the practice.
I might be able to get here relatively quickly with the neutral alt.
That'd be great. But then we can just practice some theory anyways.
Give me a couple of minutes, mate, so I will leave fleet. In fact, can you rejoin fleet?
Yep,
Let me invite you back.
1 sec. Alright, fuck it. We'll just do a theoretical lesson. Instead of clicking on the overview right now, you'll just have to click on me in space. So people always spawn around 14 kilometers off the gate. So I'll just burn 14 kilometers off. Here we go. So basically I just jumped the gate, and your objective now is to get to me as fast as possible and lock me down. So what you would do is you double left click on my ship in space, you control left click right after or right before. Control left clicking, what that does is locking it up. So basically all you have to do now, if someone would come through a gate, if I would be in your overview, you hold your control, you spam left click on where the person appears. Once you realize that the lock started, because you hear the do, you take your finger off the control. You still spam double click in your overview where I will be, because that way your ship started locking up, your ship started approaching, and then you spam all the other buttons, which are F1 first, really quickly, so your micro warp drive activates as fast as possible, followed right after F2 and F3. And depending on how far I am away from you, the scram and the web will activate right away, or you'll have to spam the F2 and the 3 for the web and scram a little bit longer until I'm actually in range. And heating on the first cycle is incredibly important. The heating on the first cycle is the difference between catching someone and losing a catch. Because usually when people come out of gate cloak, they are at the disadvantage that they cannot preheat their modules. So if you preheat your modules, you are basically using the gate advantage, which is you already being stationary on a site.
Garen, yes. Jumps out in a very not associated with anybody tune.
Alright, stop scram and webbing me, please, and just reapproach the gate. Everybody reapproach the gate. For this, you can just use your micro warp drift normally. But then after you land the gate, let's just pretend we're back at the gate and camping, so preheat your micro warp drives, preheat your scrambled webs. If you have too much heat and you can't heat anymore, just go to the broadcasted structure, repair real quick, and come back. That's completely fine. Now, one more thing that we will practice right now, while Chappers is coming back, is decloaking a target. which is a little different. So how do we do this best? Just wait until you're ignore that +1. We will not shoot it. Please tell me once your engagement timers are gone, guys.
Mine's just gone.
Okay, so now we will simulate that I am a target for you guys. Oh, another +1. Now we will simulate that I'm a target for you guys. John is boss, perfect. And I'm a cloaky target because I'm in a hound. Cloaky targets usually are T3Cs, which are the Loki, the Proteus, the Legion, and the Tengu, which will almost always have a cloak. There are also stealthy transporters, which are the Prorator, the Vider, well, the other ones, keep forgetting the names, Prorator, Vider, Crane, and then there's one more that I just forgot the name of, but that's cool. Those will almost always cloak. And if you know that you're hunting a cloaky target, if you're not sure yourself, your FC might inform you that we're hunting a cloaky target, then the whole idea of actually getting to the person as fast as possible and locking them up is a little different. Because naturally, if people cloak, you are not able to target them. So instead, your one and only priority is to get to them as fast as possible. So you skip any attempt of trying to lock them. In your head, you're using yourself as a decloaking projectile. That's how you have to see it. And for that, like now, we're all gonna jump the gate in like a couple seconds. I will jump with you. And I'll give you guys 1 or 2 seconds. Just don't lock me up. It's a little different because you guys are all blue to me, so you can't really identify which one is the hound. But obviously, you're going to try to approach the hound and get to him as fast as possible. So, now to the theory. If you're hunting a cloaky target, you are on one side of the gate, the cloaky target lands, the FC calls to jump, so you jump to the other side. The first thing you do on the other side, again, is the same as what we did before. You double click on the gate and you start reapproaching them. But immediately after decloaking, the first thing you do is press Control Spacebar to stop your ship. And then, while your ship is stopping, you overheat your preheat. Do not use your micro warp drive at all. You just preheat your micro warp drive. So basically now you're sitting 12 or 13 kilometers off the gate. Your micro warp drive is preheated and you have hopefully about 0 velocity. The reason why that is important is because if you're already burning with your micro warp drive towards the gate and the guy decloaks 130 degrees in another direction, your ship will never be able to properly align to that ship because you have too much movement, there's too much mass in the way of you actually properly aligning, and you will miss the ship you're trying to decloak by miles. So the slower you are while starting your acceleration towards the target you're trying to decloak, the better. And the best way to do that, if you're in a fleet, is immediately stopping after decloaking on the gate, because that way you have a good spread in the fleet. Everybody spawns in a random location, so you have like a natural spread around the gate. And from there on, you're in a really optimal position for one of you in the fleet to be really, really close to the target you're trying to decloak. So everybody left clicks the gate twice, starts approaching, Control Spacebar, preheat your micro warp drive, switch to the PvP tab, and now you just start spamming left click. Just start spamming left click. There's nothing there in the PvP tab, but you start spamming left click where the cloaky target will appear momentarily. And once you see that cloaky target popping up, once you see that your ship is aligning, you immediately press your micro warp drive. You immediately therefore start approaching the target at the best speed you can. And at that point, once your ship started accelerating properly, now you can turn your camera. You can see where the cloaky target is approximately aligning to. You can change your angle of approach a little bit by double-clicking in space towards the direction the cloaky target is going to. That does two things. It makes the way, or the total amount of distance that you have to travel shorter because you're intercepting his path. But also, once a target completely successfully cloaks, your ship will naturally de-accelerate if you're trying to approach it, because the object you're trying to approach from your point of view is gone. So your ship slows down because it lost its last command, which was approaching a target that doesn't exist anymore in its sensors. So by then looking into space, double-clicking in the direction it goes, you also guarantee that your ship will not stop moving once the target actually cloaks. Chances are the ship is really slow at aligning, so even after it has fully cloaked, it still is there, and you can still decloak it and still lock it up. So now you know your ship is on perfect approach velocity towards the target. It cloaked up, you're almost there, you know you're going to decloak in a second. Then you go back to the overview, you hold your control, and you left click where the ship is going to appear after you decloak it. And that way you make sure that the second the ship decloaks, you're also already trying to lock it. And then from there on, it's the same routine. Scram them, web them, call for Logi if they're neutral and you're getting shot by gate guns, but that is about it. Okay.
I am inbound. I just had to run away from a hyperspatial smart bombing praxis that was chasing me. I'm not joking. Somehow he got to the gate before me. So
yeah, the classic.
I'm now just jumping Sasala.
Okay, perfect. Okay, we'll do this whole trick with trying to decloak me once. So I am the Garen Willow. I am in the Hound. For now, just switch to your friendly overview and try to find me as fast as possible and then start approaching me. We'll do that on the other side of the gate. So now I will jump the gate, which means the cloaky target that you're trying to tackle, jump the gate. So the first thing you have to do now is jump the gate. And then you go through the routine we just practiced. You immediately decloak by double left clicking on the gate you just came through. You immediately control spacebar. You immediately preheat your micro warp drive by pressing Shift F1, and then you're starting to know to completely not move anymore. As you can see, you have a nice spread around the gate now. You're all spread up, and there's a high chance that one of you guys will be close to me. So for example, right now the closest person to me is Cecilka in the Incursus, 12 kilometers away. And 12 kilometers are passed really fast. All right, so I will decloak right now. Be ready to start approaching me once I decloak. Decloaking now. Cloaking, and now you have to start approaching me and see if you can decloak me. Decloak, micro warp drive on. There you go, and everybody is starting to move. So D-Mac Rally had this right idea, but he stopped moving because he approached me instead of double-clicking in space where I was, which was really good. John Cantrell did it perfect, as well as someone else that I just missed. After I decloak, the first thing you have to do is, lock me up, scram me, web me, and reapproach my ship, because otherwise you'll overshoot me by a lot, you'll lose lock. But those are all basics that you get used to eventually. But most of you actually, almost all of you did it perfectly. You immediately started approaching the position that I was located in, and you decloaked me in no time, as you saw. My cloak was completely through, but still you decloaked my Hound, and you still would have caught me most likely. All right, everybody burn back to the gate, and we'll practice that one more time. I got 10 more minutes, right?
Yes, I am sat at a safe 1 AU off the Acer gate. So let me know when you want me to jump through.
All right, we'll do one more. Guys, please reapproach the gate we just jumped. You guys are really far off. Use your mic warp drive to do so, otherwise you're really slow. Whenever you hear...
Which gate are you in?
Aisa. Aisa.
Yeah, which gate in Aisa?
Anka Aisa.
Okay.
Whenever you actually hear reapproach, you can assume it means mic warp drive on. All right. We'll just wait for Cecilka to make it back, and then we'll practice that routine once again, which is, again, just to make sure. It's kind of like playing piano, you do it a couple times and then it's in your blood. Jump through, double-click gate, control spacebar, shift F1, start spamming left-click in your PvP overview. For that, you have to change overview, of course, overview tab to PvP. When I appear, or in this case friendly, since I'm a friendly, sadly, right now. Once I appear, you immediately turn your mic warp drive, your preheated mic warp drive on, you double click on my name to approach me, and then once all that is done, you can worry about double clicking in space in my direction instead of me. Alright, everybody jump. Do the pre-uncloak routine. There we go. That's a nice speed right there. People immediately decloak. They're ready to go. Perfect. All right. Make sure you press Control Spacebar right after spawning. You don't want to have your ship moving. Ignore the cursor. Your ship shouldn't be moving right now. And in 3, 2, 1, approach me and try to decloak me. There we go. D-Mac Relic is going for it. Almost there. You gotta still press... Okay, you're gonna miss me by a little bit. but Arodis got me. Wonderful. Exactly. And that way you saw people actually decloaked me without any problem. And decloaking people, like my ship is really small. Usually these T3Cs and stuff, they're huge. So even if you get within like 3 kilometers of them, they will still decloak, which is decent. And try this, like practice this every time you see a cloaky on gate. It doesn't matter if you have to catch them. Just practice it. See if you can decloak them. Make it like your personal little challenge to decloak them. All right, now we're gonna do this non-cloak routine one more time with Chappers alt real quick. So Chappers, we are on the anchor gate in Aisa right now.
Yeah, I'm in Aisa, just off the anchor gate, because I was coming from a different direction. If you guys want to jump through into anchor, that's probably the best.
It would be great if you could jump into us. That's fine. So
in that case, please don't shoot this rifter that's about to jump.
No. We'll just scram and web you and stuff. So everybody now get close to the gate. We're now hunting a target that is not cloaky. So what you want to do is, approach it, lock it, all the things. Like control left click to lock it up, double left click to approach, F1 to approach with my co-op drive on, and then F2, F3 to scram it as fast as possible. So, Chappers, are you suspect?
No.
Okay, that is an issue.
How do I? What's the best way to become suspect? I could
loot a yellow crate. Oh, you could shoot someone. Yeah, actually. Actually, yeah. You know what? Can someone who is neutral jump through real quick and get shot by Chappers for just a second?
I'll go.
Okay, so Dan is gonna come through and help you with being a suspect.
I've got to align out so I don't die.
Yeah, exactly. That's one more thing. Like, if you don't want to catch gate guns, you pre-align out, you lock them up, you shoot them once, you immediately warp to what you're aligned, and then good to go. But you can't cover that much stuff in that little time. All right. So Dan, just come back to us. And then we'll wait for Chapper's engagement timer to run out. Now, once Chapper calls it, you know that he's the target that we're looking to tackle. He's going to be a suspect, so you won't be taking gate guns. Taking gate guns is just one more thing where you have to pay a little bit of attention. When you take a lot of damage, you broadcast for shields like in any other fleet. But if you're in a frigate and on a gate, you should also assume that we will have to warp out. So if you're the first one grabbing tackle, you just look in space for anything that you can warp, or you go to like a travel tab and just warp to another gate. In essence, it really doesn't matter what you ping to. Like, if you take gate guns and you need to ping, do it anywhere. Anywhere but on this gate is fine. Even if you're like going to an enemy station or something, it's still better than dying to the gate. So like, don't struggle around trying to find a cool place. It really doesn't matter at all.
Right, you ready? I'm jumping. I'm warping to the gate now from 1 AU away.
All right, wonderful. Yeah, on the other side, jump through, and then let's pretend you're burning off. Okay, so just like align to something and start burning away. All right. If you're with me, just hold. Make sure your modules are preheated. Make sure you're close to the gate, ready to tackle. And tackle only Chapper's alt, who just came through. Oh, you can't preheat anymore. Yeah, if you're super heated, don't worry about it. There you go. Burn for hail. Burn. Scram webs right away. There you go. Perfect. Entire fleet is super fast trying to get to him. Make sure you don't shoot him. Wonderful.
Many things just buzzed at me.
Very many things. All right. Wonderful. Please stop tackling him. Chappers, one more thing. Could you please just go through the gate again? We'll do this again.
Yeah, no problems.
And this time I want you to burn back.
I am AB fit.
That's cool. So that's cool. It's fine. That's fine. Everybody burn back, holding the gate. This time you don't have to preheat. You don't have to have any heat. This time it's fine. Because we will just assume he's burning back. Usually you don't know that, so you have to make your best judgment if someone's burning back or burning off. And that's where these arrows are really important. Because you look at the person, you'll see, the arrow is going far away from the gate, so he's trying to burn off. Or, the arrow is going into the gate, so he's probably most likely burning back right now. Now, if someone is burning back, the good thing to do is 1 or 2 people scram and web him and start applying damage to him, while everybody else holds their guns. And the FC will tell you to do that. So you'll hear, he's burning back, someone force him. Someone force him means you put scram and web on him to force him to take the gate. And then the second the person actually takes the gate, which is really easy to see, you zoom your camera in on the enemy sheep. And if there's a blue cloud appearing around him, that usually means that they just took the gate. Alright, Trappist, come back in.
Jumping.
Alright, guys, so we got a target. We're not sure if they burn off or burn back to the gate. If he burns back to the gate, I want Lexi and D-Mac Relic to force him, please. Everybody else holds their guns. Alright, force. Get him. D-Mac Relic, Lexi, let's go. Quick. Alright, wonderful. There's the disruptor, so he can now not warp off anymore. Everybody else is holding. Hold. Look at his ship, and he jumped. Everybody jumped. There was a little blue cloud. Everybody jump. On the other side, re-approach the gate. Double-click on the gate. Micro-warp drives on. Get back to the gate as fast as possible. And once the target decloaks in your PvP overview, not the Venture. Ignore the Venture. Re-approach. Preheat your stuff now, because for this you need preheat. And burn for him. Immediately control-click, left-click, go for the Rifter.
If I get through this time, I'm going to burn back immediately, possibly.
That took a little long, guys, but that's the essence, exactly. So that one has to go a little faster that way, but it's a lot of things. You'll have to get used to it. Perfect. Okay, so now he's back at the gate. So now what he's going to do, of course, is jump back again, because he wants to be safe. And now it's all up to Lexi and D-Mac Relics to be the heroes that we need to hold him on the other side until we are de-aggressed. Now, keep in mind, there are only 2 people, so chances are ISFC messed up here, and I should have told more people to hold their guns to actually assist D-Mac Relic and Lexi on the other side. Because the less people there are, the higher the chance that the person that we're trying to kill gets off. Or they maybe kill both of them and then get off. That's also an option. And then usually, you know, when he jumped back, that means that everybody who didn't shoot, you can automatically take the gate with him. Everybody who has the engagement timer, of course, has to wait 0 on the other side of the gate, because you have no other option. Alright, you see that he's back, so we know that he's got forced back through. This time again, be ready to control left click on him right away once he decloaks, and then double left click on him without control to approach him. Micro warp drive on, scram and web as fast as you can. And the idea is to keep him as far away from the gate as possible. Lock, micro warp drive on, start approaching. There we go, that was perfect timing. John Blood, very nice. And he's scrammed, perfect. He swept as well. He's making it back right now because he has an AB. Afterburners are cheating, of course, but usually at this point you'd have a successful lock, especially with bigger ships.
To be fair on that one, I was yellow boxed by a couple of people within like no seconds at all.
Yeah,
they
exactly.
were
really fast. The only other thing that we have not practiced yet is bumping, but I know that Chappers will cover that part. So one more thing that will most likely happen is now, let's pretend we're chasing a big battleship. Also, please set your desert to run. We're going to travel back now to make sure to be back in time. If we get something bigger, a battle cruiser, a battleship, and we get them 12, 13 kilometers off the gate, scrammed, webbed, then one of the commands you might hear to make sure that they die is bump them off the gate. And how to bump someone off the gate will be explained by Trappers in the next class that is starting right now. So if you're interested in how to bump someone off a gate properly, just join Trappers' class and he will tell you.
wonderful. I am going to ping my class now. I need to actually dock up in Minmatar space. So if everybody wants to stay on, I will be back with you momentarily.
All right.
In fact, just safe log. Yeah, well.
Alright, for now just travel back to Run, dock up. Cecilka, which part is not working? Sorry, I just saw that. Ah, alright. Yeah, but this is like the basic idea. Figuring out if the target is cloaky or not. If he's cloaky, jump through, reapproach, immediately control spacebar, preheat your micro warp drive, and knowing that the only thing that matters is approaching them. You don't have to try to lock them. It's not going to work. So immediately get that out of your head and just worry about approaching. And then if it's any other target, you usually burn back all the way. This is also again situational, but usually just burn back all the way. Stop your ship again once you're close to the gate, and then start spamming control left click if it's a smaller target, because the smaller the target, the faster they warp. The more important it is that you have them locked up compared to being close to them. And the bigger the target, the more important it is to be close to them instead of locking them up fast. If you catch my drift. Big thing, more mass, warp slower, meaning you have more time. But if it's a very small thing, then you have to hope that the RNG of gate spawn gets you close to him, and therefore you might just get a lock without having to approach them. That's the idea behind it. Okay.
Gavin, if you could just hold